Yes. I'm banging the table. Boys, that is the way to start a record. That is the way to start an album. And there's smiles at this end of the microphone. There's smiles on the other end of the microphone. Does that feel good hearing that? No,
definitely. Yeah, felt good recording it, and it feels. We're very proud of the records, and so it feels like an accomplishment.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's God, you're channeling rage and melody in equal measure, but then that's kind of always been your thing, hasn't it?
It's like the good and evil, they're just constantly fighting against each other.
Well, I
somehow a balance comes out of it.
Well, yeah, I guess, but for me, that's a win-win scenario. So, wow, that's a hell of a blistering start to a record. But then, with Enter Shikari, you're always thinking, it's going to be blistering, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't do things by halves. Always jump in at the deep end.
Yeah.
Lay it down, let everyone know this is what it's about, this is what's going to happen. Don't get any false ideas of...
It's a statement of intent, but what I actually like, and I smiled when I heard it, and I smiled when I heard it properly. I listened to it from front to back yesterday, and I was moved actually in parts by it, but we'll come to that later. I smiled when I heard this track, because there's one keyboard sound in there that is just a little whiff. A tiny little, when you go into a room and somebody in there has smoked a cigar there, like maybe 48 hours previously, and you walk into that room and there's just that faintest whiff of something wrong and right that happened in that room. If that whiff of cigar smoke were trance music, that would be the little, there's this little tiny little whiff of that first album of yours, of you as kids.
Yeah.
And when it was Rao and Rob, when you first came in here and you sort of explained that whole thing to me, and we went through that whole, how I didn't really care for Enter Shikari at the beginning, but then I'd grown to love you over that second record, and you were like, but that's what we were into, we were kids and we were into trance, so that's what we, and it was all so charming, and it sort of reminded me of the good thing about trance, that little sound.
The smidging of
it was almost like a nod, a little nod of like, that's where we came from, but this is where we are.
Well, I think there's a sort of tension that you can only really get out of those types of synths, that sort of kind of really detuned saw wave sort of style of synths, and it just works exactly right to as an introduction.
Yeah, but it's very emotional. It's that whole type of music. It really taps into people's emotions on a dance floor, and in a way you do that, but with in a much more visceral way. So okay, so that's your first track, and you say it's a statement of intent. So what was the intent? When you had a blank sheet of paper, what did you want to do with this record? Or how did you approach it?
We didn't really. Well, we rarely think about anything too consciously in this band. We just kind of see what happens. Really, I think the only things we really thought about was including a lot more live instrumentation. So all the sort of orchestral stuff is real. There's no sampling.
Wow.
Which is a first for us. So we had a string quartet come in one day. Me and my brother played all the brass, and we even had a cor anglais.
Oh my god!
How metal is that?
A cor anglais. Whoa, yeah.
Branching out into the woodwind territory.
Wow.
So, and other than that, just wanting to really push the vocals as well. Just basically increase the different textures and the palette that we can choose from to make up the tones and the timbres on the album.
And of course, that there's a greater relationship between the record and you as a live band. Then,
how do you mean?
Well, if it's more live and you're.
Oh right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how often we're going to be able to get the live string quartet and stuff. Yeah, we're definitely going to do it at some point.
Yeah, I can see Enter Shikari at the Royal Albert Hall with the London Symphony Orchestra.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I've got normally it's more of a sort of a give and take thing with these album playbacks, or, I'll choose a track, you choose a track. But I've listened to the album, and there's so many tracks that I'm really desperate to play and to get the story behind it and stuff. So, and I wanted to set it off with that first record, because it did really seem like a statement of intent, and that was interesting in itself. And then, there's so many tracks. So how much time have we got in this bit? I really wanted to. I wanted to play The Anaesthetist, and I really want to play I've played Never Let Go of the Microscope already. That was the first track that I took off the album once I actually had the album.
Nice one.
And there's some other ones that I really want to go into. There's Myopia, there's Torn Apart. I love that interlude, the end of Torn Apart. That interlude is fantastic. I'm definitely, we're going to have to play Torn Apart with that at the end.
Excellent.
Because
that's the core anglais, isn't it, that bit?
No, that's
well,
historians.
Well, we'll come.
Yeah, brass, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
All I know is we're going to end with Dear Future Historians, because that's the one that moved me the most, and I want to end. So we'll negotiate what happens between now and then. But so what do you want to hear now? What, you want to hear The Anaesthetist, or Never Let Go of the Microscope, or should we play Torn Apart with that beautiful ending?
Sure.
Yeah.
The other two we've been playing live for quite a while, and so Torn Apart's one that we don't hear as often. So I suppose that'll be nice and refreshing for us. Yeah.
Wow, boys, that's absolutely stunning. Absolute stunner. That one.
Thank you.
I told you I picked that as the first album track to play. You know, because there were certain ones that I wasn't allowed to play, weren't there? But you know, obviously there are some ones on here that are like a bit more in my territory, a little bit more dancey, a little bit more sort of, you know, that kind of thing. And God, at the end of that is like, wow, hand on heart, it's an absolute beauty. And you've called it interlude, as if you've sort of kept a separation, because it basically is the end of that track, right?
Yeah, I mean that's how it was recorded. But then we thought, there's such a vibe in that, well, the interlude.
That
it kind of deserves its own track number in case people just want to, you know, skip straight to that.
Yeah. You know, the guitar in there, don't freak out. It reminds me of Brian Eno, like, but way back, like sort of Here Come the Warm Jets, what is it? Another Green World kind of Brian Eno, you know. And that's one of my favourite possessions is that box set, that Brian Eno box set, and the guitar in that just really kind of took me back to that. I mean that as a huge compliment, because, you know, I'm a massive Brian Eno fan.
It's Brian Eno.
Okay, yeah, don't tell him he's produced Coldplay now. But come on, come on. So this is Roxy Music's keyboard player. Who now super uber producer, and the first like modular synth guy. Like he was he was the first guy I ever saw with a modular synth. Like, you know, when I was 13, 14 years old. You know, like the guy has been an absolute pioneer for the synthesizer for decades.
He's
and
my
decades.
current meditation music.
Is that right?
I was actually only listening to it Thursday afternoon the other day. It's like an hour-long track of just like soundscapes and just lusciousness.
You're meditating. That's good.
Well, I'm
that's
trying.
cool. No, that's really cool. I do that as well.
Failing, but trying.
Oh no, man, keep going. It's really cool. So, now you said that you don't like to think about things too much, and you just go and, you know, that's good to hear from a band. You know, that you just like you go and you just do stuff, but you usually do it in interesting places. Like I remember, didn't we talk once, and you just said you recorded an album in Thailand or somewhere?
Yeah.
So where did you do this one?
This is quite a different bit of a dichotomy. It's recorded in Lincolnshire.
Oh yeah.
In a beautiful little, two basic sort of cottages, I guess, with the studio inbuilt in them, just in the middle of nowhere, just rolling moors and woodland. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The actual live room was a chapel, and hence the name of the studio, Chapel Studio.
Oh my God, the chapel in Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
God, I demoed there like years ago. I know that place.
It's so homely.
Is it still run by the dude from the Motors?
Andy and Louise.
Yeah. The Motors.
He's definitely an old band dude.
Yeah. And he's got like all these guitars on his wall in his sitting room, and
Well, we didn't actually go to his sitting room. No. You must have got the VIP treatment.
God, no, I think he hated us, but he must have got more bitter over the years, or whatever. But that is a good live room.
It was like the softest guy ever. Like, it's so nice. Like, it's so nice to chat to. But yeah, it's just such a nice atmosphere there. It's kind of like going to your great aunt's house or something like.
Yeah,
there's like no mobile phone signal.
Yeah, no distraction. I guess you like being. I mean, that's why you went to that studio in Thailand. Because there's just no distraction.
Yeah,
there.
That's what's best for creativity, I find, when like you have no sort of tension in you. It's just all completely relaxed, no distractions. You can just let the creativity flow. that's what you want from a studio, really.
Excellent. Well, we're going to hear more fruits of these uninterrupted labours next. We're going to have a little ad break, but how about a track that actually, you know what? I tell a lie. Torn Apart wasn't the first one. That was the second one that I played off the album. The first one that I played was Never Let Go of the Microscope, which, if that's okay with you, we're going to play next.
Yeah, smash it.
And another beautiful ending. There's a theme developing. So never let go of the microscope. And actually, talking of themes, I wonder if this is conscious or unconscious, but there seems to be, just looking at it and listening to it, never let go of the microscope, and the mind sweep, and what was the other one? There was another thing that was to do with like looking at stuff. There's a theme that's to do with dissecting or looking at stuff more closely.
Yeah, well, the one true colour is probably the other one, perhaps.
Yeah,
I mean,
was that
there's
conscious?
definitely the running theme for the whole thing. Well, I mean, this song builds on a line in our track "Destabilized" from 2009 or something, which is "Don't ever respect conventional thought without reason." So it's just building on that, and I think that's something we've always been about, really, just the importance of the scientific method and societal analysis.
Yeah. You've always been, got ourselves a reader. Like you've always been dissectors, and I've admired the fact that you look at things in a deep way, which can be, which can make for great art, but can also hurt. It can also cause, depression and worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, the One True Colour talks about how important it is to dissect, and a lot of people, that's one of the main sort of criticisms of science, that it reduces wholes to parts, and it sort of takes away the mystery and stuff like that. But we're sort of arguing that that there's more beauty. The more you find out, the more beauty there is. The more just that there is to be amazed by, I suppose.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Oh, I can't wait to in that context. I can't wait to get to dear future historians. But we're gonna save that till the end. So where should we go next? I really liked the top of Anaesthetist, because it reminded me of Killing Joke, one of my favourite bands ever. So when I say Killing Joke, I said Brian Eno, and Robbie went, "Who's Brian Eno?" Now you know. Now you realise that you always knew all along. So if I say Killing Joke, does that mean anything to you? No.
We're all looking.
Okay, all right. No, this is interesting.
Heard the name.
Yeah, this is interesting because I listened to that and I thought, I wonder if they like it. It sounds like they love Killing Joke, and they've done a little homage to them.
How could you not know Killing Joke?
Well, I mean, that's a joy. I'm jealous that you've not heard them, because consciously, because yeah. Oh man, it's going to blow you away. And just when you listen to it, just think of the context of it. It was like it was the 80s, and they were just doing something completely and utterly different. You probably come across Youth in your travels. He was the bass player of Killing Joke, who's now Uber producer and stuff. But I digress. So I got there because the anaesthetist, the top of the anaesthetist, reminded me of Killing Joke, which of course is now lost on all of you. I might as well have just been like when you talk to a dog and they're just looking at you. But should we hear that anyway?
Yeah,
because it's got a hell of a kind of almost like a metal dubstep drop at the end. Love it. Well, let's listen to it, because I listen to a track like this and I think, oh man, I can't wait to see this live. Cannot wait to see this live. Oh man, there's not the beautiful ending on that one. That is balls to the wall. So yeah, it starts off kind of almost like a homage to Killing Joke. There's that keyboard sound on there, which is so close to Killing Joke. It's I'm amazed. I'm incredulous that you've not come across them. But then, as you say, people are picking up the Prodigy from that.
Prodigy vibes.
Yeah, there's definitely like that cracking big beat.
The sort of big distorted beat that's going on.
Yeah, it's almost like Spitfire. It's got that huge kind of it's hip hop, but with even more largesse. I love that. So that must be fun to play live. Are you tackling these new songs live now?
Yeah. We've been playing that one the longest live, actually. But yeah, our last gig we played 6 of the new tracks.
Wow.
And then this next tour that we're about to embark on. We're going to be playing another 2 on top of that.
So you're doing 8 out of the 12 tracks?
Well, one of the 6 is Slipshod.
Okay.
Which is like the bonus track.
Yeah, of course. Yes. So, how much time have we got in this bit? Let's, we got time for another one. So let's go somewhere else. So we've had the Anaesthetist. What was another one that I really wanted to play? I like the Bank of England. Tell me about the Bank of England. Tell me about that. Who's going to tell me about this track?
I can tell you, it took me so long to get this groove down. It's a really, really sort of different one to the normal kind of beats that I've been playing throughout Enter Shikari, and I don't know how long it took you sort of playing around on your computer to get that kind of a groove out.
All those little ghosts.
All these weird little ghost things, and the hi-hat doing the accents on weird points, and it just took me forever and a day to learn it. And then Chris said, "Yeah, I'm not digging this, so I don't want it to be on the album." I was like, "What? No, it has to be." After all that hard work.
So, who came up with it? Who wrote it? Who made it so difficult for you?
Well, Raoul.
Cheers, Raoul. So, Rob, for you, it was the hardest, without question. This was the hardest track. I mean, generally, would you say, because every album has a track that is real tough?
Like, once I got it down, it was actually really fun to play, and recording it was really great fun, because it was so, because it's so different and unusual, kind of groove and vibe for me to play. It was a lot of fun, kind of getting that those different kind of emotions through the drumming that you don't just get with a hard sort of hammering on the kit constantly kind of thing. Yes. So I actually really enjoyed it. Once I had slowed the beat down to about 20 BPM or something, and then built it up to what it actually needed to be, and got it down, then it's great fun. I love it.
Oh, I love that track. Again, you're in perfect balance. There's real sort of beauty and tenderness, and then there's like this shouty football terrace, like sort of thuggy stuff going on as well. Oh man, I really love this record, and I I'm thinking about, you mentioned the Prodigy before, and you're one of very few bands that could, and the Prodigy are obviously the guys that wrote the book. I mean, Liam's coming in here and going through his new album track by track, and it occurs to me that he would be just as comfortable on this show as he would on Ian Campfield's rock show. And that's exactly the same for you. You've pretty much always been like sort of a core artist for me, and I presume for Ian as well. That's a kind of nice place to be.
We've always been quite lucky in the respect that sort of certainly putting us on bills like festival bills, for example. We always work quite well we can play a rock festival, or like a heavier rock festival, as well as there was only one purely dance festival that we've played, but
which one was that?
Audio River. Yeah. Where is that?
Somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
So have you never done any of those Brit ones? Have you never of like Creamfields or Global Gathering or anyone not had the balls to book you?
Not yet.
Well, if any of that lot are listening, come on, I dare you. So, okay. So we're not at the end because, but we nearly are. Like, the last track is The Appeal and the Minesweep, and I hope we do get time to play that. But the one track, if I was going to pick one track out of everything to play, it would be Dear Future Historians. That's the one that really kind of reached out to me and moved me, and I love to be moved. So, tell me about this track, but at the same time, I want to know, like, there's this line in it that really that meant something, which is "Put your weight on my shoulders," and it's repeated again and again, and it ties in with something that you said. I think it's in The Appeal and the Minesweep, which was "You are not alone," and it's it echoes this very noble sentiment that runs through this record, and it's a kind, noble, neighbourly sort of thing that's going on here with a line like that. So which I think that's wonderful. Tell me about that.
It's becoming clearer and clearer that we're just hippies at the end of the day.
You're
Peace and love, man.
just tree huggers.
But it's just I think that this sort of almost the concept of extensionality, like being able to extend the don't know, the feelings of others or help others, and it's just something that humanity has proven itself to be amazing at. Like, we live in this kind of dog eat dog, rapacious capitalistic world, and still like helping each other and altruism is like this huge thing that's just managed to survive, even though it's beaten at every corner. So yeah, it's just kind of an ode to that, an ode to love, an ode to empathy.
Because it's very unmale to say that. Speaking as the chair of the music board of Calm, of the campaign against living miserably,
right, yeah.
and talking to you, four geezers, in the most depressing month of the year, where last night probably 20 men killed themselves, because it's 13 are doing it every day, and they're doing it because they don't talk. They're not communicating, but you're clearly communicating. This is it's a very noble thing that you're doing.
You'd be surprised though when we're in the dressing room backstage or something, and someone's trying to get us to talk, and we're all sitting there on our laptops, and the only way we talk is via email to each other.
You're all just tweeting each other while you're actually sitting next door to each other. That's why Andrew Weatherall won't join Twitter. I go, why are you on Twitter? He goes, because I saw these two people sitting next to each other actually tweeting each other, and I just thought, fuck this. Actually, Twitter would be a better thing with Andrew Weatherall on it, but that's another story. So I just wanted to say, to reach out to you a bit and just go like, that's a really noble thing that you're saying. It's a very moving thing, and to say it, to externalize it and say, put your weight on my shoulders. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think music is like literally one of the only sort of areas in life where unity is sort of put forward as an option. It's like it's such a innately communal thing. So to then speak about that within the music just feels like quite an obvious and enjoyable thing to do, really.
So you're saying it, but do you? I mean, as a human being, do you preach it? Like, do you talk about how you feel, and are you one of those bottle uppers, or are you a gusher?
I think Raoul's probably a bit more quiet than his lyrics would. Definitely in person. Well, his lyrics are more outspoken than he would.
Yeah, there's certainly a spectrum. I don't think someone is. Yeah, it's not like I'd meet people and then immediately tell them exactly how I'm feeling.
No, fair enough. But do you find it easier to talk about stuff through lyrics?
To be honest, this is one of the first tracks where there is like a bit of the personal in it. Because the music is very influenced by being away from home, by missing a family, by missing my girlfriend. But most of it in Shikari stuff, I don't really think about myself when I'm writing it. I'm thinking about like very globally and very like big issues, big statements. Yeah, so it is a bit different in that respect, I suppose.
It's very powerful, Emotions are a very powerful thing, and I think you've nailed it with that track. So well, here we are at the end. It's always a pleasure to have you boys in here. I was moved, man. I think this is your best work.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
having us in. It's always a genuine pleasure to come see you again.
Oh, mate,
you're
always
a lovely guy.
Oh, thanks, Rob.
Thanks for having us in.
Enter Shikari. Buy everything that they've done and buy everything that they're going to do for the rest of your lives.